What's going on YouTube? Welcome to my YouTube channel. All right, I'm just chilling in my garage, and I figured I wanted to do a video on like just mall life. So I'm gonna be 48 years old this year. It's January. Well, it's February 1st, 2024. So I definitely grew up with in the mall culture. So 88, 89 were like the junior high, seventh and eighth grade periods of my life. And then, 90s freshman year, 91's sophomore, 92 junior, 93. We graduated in 94, so 93, 94 was a senior. But I just wanted to I don't know if it's younger generation or like maybe the older, or maybe guys my age that watch my channel can appreciate just this generation. So back in the day, like 100% for sure, there was no cell phones, and I mean back in the day, it wasn't that long ago, but you definitely, the social media was the mall. Like that's where you would go to hang out with your friends. And, if you needed some shoes, there wasn't buttons that you pushed on a device or on your cell phone that you're probably watching this on right now to order shoes, and then they magically appear at your doorstep from Amazon or Nike or, whatever. Back in the day, you actually had to physically go to the mall and buy something. So there was definitely Warner Brothers or Disney Store. They definitely did. There was definitely bookstores, things of that nature. But just the culture alone. So like buying your actual clothes, or you saw someone and they had a cool outfit, you'd be like, dude, where did you get that? Like, oh, go check out, I don't know about Gadzooks. There was no Gadzooks by me, but they had like U-Men. There's merry-go-round. So I grew up in suburbia, outside of Chicagoland. So maybe there was a Gadzooks. I don't know. I didn't shop at no Gadzooks. KB Toys was definitely a cool place to go. I actually remember bringing my kids to KB Toys. Like that was always cool until that closed down. So that was always a cool store to go to buy toys, or buy video games or whatever back in the day. So that's no longer in business. Like that's long gone, and so is Toys R Us, right? Which is kind of sad. So like, where do you buy your toys? Like, where do you take? Like, I have a grandchild now, so where do I take my grandchild? I was thinking about it, I was like, there's really no toy store. Like the toy store is basically Amazon, so, or whatever. Like I buy for him and shows up at the door, right? So anyways, I guess the toy store is, the toy section at a Walmart or a Target or something like that. But anyways, oh, Sharper Image, like that was a cool store. That's like where all the latest technology was, and like things that you thought you needed. I mean, look, there's a full like bat suit one photo, but I totally forgot about that store. Yeah, Sharper Image, that was pretty cool. Like they'd have like the space pens, a lot of massagers, a lot of stuff that you thought you needed, or you didn't think you needed until you saw it there. There was always some cool technology, some overpriced tech, I guess. Yeah, big old gumball machine. Like, who needs that? Oh, there it is. Like, if you needed a full life size. Oh, wait, look. We got Superman here, and let's get political. Who's this? Trump. What was Trump selling back then? Trump steak? I mean, yeah, dude, Trump selling steaks, dude. Check that out. I bet you no one remembers. Trump used to sell steaks at the Sharper Image. Look at that. See? Did we ever think he'd be our future president? Well, there he is. He's in the window with Superman, so obviously he paid some money to be in first. I don't remember Trump steaks. I don't know if you guys ever had a Trump steak, but if any of you guys ever ordered a Trump steak from the Sharper Image, please let me know in the comments if that was good. Was that like before Omaha steaks? Was that before like Wagyu beef and Kobe beef, or what's that guy who like sprinkles salt from his elbow? So was this like, was that the thing? Back in the 90s where it was made. That's so funny. All right, let's keep going. Limited. That was like where the ladies would shop, or little girls. So I don't remember Limited for my daughters. I want to say they shopped. Yeah, I don't think they shopped it. Maybe they did shop at Limited too, but yeah, that kind of died out. Lizzie McGuire, yeah, probably. Probably. When my girls were little, it was Justice, and then that, I don't know if Justice is still around, but that was like where they shop. Sam Goody was cool. Like this was the place to go to buy your music. We also had like Camelot Music. We had Tower Records by us. We had Coconuts and Peaches. I know those are funny names, but those are like the independently owned stores. Definitely a place to buy your music. And you couldn't just download music on your phone. You actually had to go to the mall, and if it was a hit song on the radio, you better hurry up and get there because it'll be sold out pretty fast. But I remember going to the mall buying tapes. I actually owned 2 CDs before I even owned a CD player. So I had my first car was a 1985 Buick Skyhawk. It was red, and I remember my grandparents picked it up. I think they spent like $1,000. My dad sold cars too, but he picked up the car for me. My grandparents paid for it. I just turned 16. I just got my license, and they surprised me at the dealership. And the dealership was in Chicago, and I drive it all the way back to the suburbs, which is a good 30 minutes. And I'd never driven on the highway by myself yet. So that was fun. I had to like follow. It was my mom or someone in the car. But anyways, I love the car. I definitely took care of it. I cherished it. I think it was $1,000 back then. It wasn't a beater either. Like it actually had decent miles. I think it had like 40,000 miles. But you could get a car back then for $1,000, and that wasn't that long ago. It was like 1992, and it was an 85, so it wasn't that old. But anyways, I like music so much. I was like, so I bought 2 CDs or 2 or 3 CDs, and this is when the CDs came in like the long box form. So I bought the CDs before I even owned a CD player. So I told my dad, I said, well, I want to get a CD player. So he got, he's, a customer like traded in a vehicle or whatever, and they left the CD player in there. But it was just the actual CD player. So back then, the CD players in the car, for security reasons, you could pull them out and then carry them around like a piece of luggage. So it like had a handle, you pull it out, and the whole CD player would come out. Well, I had the CD player but I didn't have the wire harness and stuff. And I guess my dad didn't know this either, but the wire harness back then would cost just as much as a CD player because that's what they did to prevent people from stealing CD players. Anyways, it was a Kenwood. I remember I had to save up. I had to work all summer to save up enough money to purchase and get it installed. I also wanted an amplifier because I wanted my speakers inside the car to be louder. The factory speakers, and I definitely wanted a subwoofer, for some extra bass. Bass back in the day was a big deal. Merry-Go-Round, definitely shopped there for clothes. That was really, really popular. And then it was like stupid. Like if you shopped at Merry-Go-Round, that was no longer cool. Like all of a sudden, it was only cool to about freshman, sophomore year, and then junior year, it was like here, these stupid IOU sweaters. So this is how you could tell if someone was like out of fashion. So it was really popular in '88, and they'd always have a special for these sweaters, 2 for $50. Like that was the sale, because normally the sweaters alone were like $40 or $50 just for a stupid sweater. And it's so funny if you find one of these. If you actually find one of these, I actually had this black one. I thought that was cool. But if you find one of these nowadays, they're worth some money. Like you can probably still get like $100 for them if they're in good condition, obviously, because everything 80s or early 90s is now, cool again. But anyways, going on with the story with, going on back to the story with my car. So I had the car CD player finally installed, the amplifier. You always had a buddy that worked at another store too. So my one buddy that worked at Best Buy, he had really loud speakers in his car, a lot of bass, and he hooked me up there. I bought some Pyle 12-inch subwoofers. I built my own box. We didn't have power tools in my house, so I literally hand sawed wood to. I cut the wood to the measurements that they recommended on the speakers owner's manual. So I had 2 12-inch separate subwoofer boxes. I did not carpet them. I just painted them black, and I put them in my trunk with the amplifier And that's the music I had. But I just thought it was funny. It's like I always tell my kids the story. Yeah, I had a CD. I owned actual CD media when it first came out, but I didn't even have a CD player yet. But that's what you had to do, right? You had to like work back in the day, and you save up some money to buy stuff. But again, back then it was different too. Like for $10, you could fill up your car with gas. So you could be like on empty, go to the gas station, $10. It was 99 cents a gallon back then. Again, that was not that long ago. And like cigarettes, if you smoke cigarettes, it was, like $3 a pack. Now, geez, it's probably like $15 a pack. It's crazy with all the taxes and stuff they add onto it. So like if you had if you were driving around with your buddies and like they'd be like, dude, you got to pitch in some gas money. So you guys give like $2 or $3 for gas money. And then no one had credit cards. Everyone had cash. So like no one was rolling with, mommy or daddy's credit cards like they do now. Or, oh, you can download the credit card app on your phone. Like it freaks me out when I see my kids like paying for stuff with their actual cell phones. But I guess that's how people do it nowadays. But Wilson's leather was a big deal. So that was another thing too. Like leather coats back then were a big deal. I never wanted to save up or work hard for a leather jacket, so I could care less about a leather jacket. I had my Letterman's jacket, which I didn't even really have the real Letterman's jacket. I had like the vinyl one, the cheaper version of the Letterman's jacket, and I wore that all throughout high school. I played soccer all 4 years. Spirit, don't remember that store. That was more for the ladies. But it got to a point too where it's like, I remember 7th, 8th grade, like it was popular to like have your parents drop you off, or your parents would like drop you off, but then they would like walk around the mall. So they kind of keep an eye on you, but you were like hanging out with your friends. Like that was the coolest thing. You'd always obviously hang out at the food court. But I remember it was a big deal too. Like when you got to a certain age where it's like, okay, you're 14 years old or whatever the age that your parents allowed, that's like, okay, now I can drop you off. But you always had to like go with a friend because like, people are getting kidnapped and stuff. So, that was a big deal too back in the days, like actually being old enough to be dropped off and then hanging out with your friend. Or it would be cool like if you went with a friend that maybe was a year older and then like their older brother who drove, that was acceptable to go to the mall. But usually like the older brother or the older sister, like they don't want to hang out with like younger ones, but that would be the case. Like they hang out with their older group of friends, and then if they had like little brothers or sisters, they'd bring them to the mall and then you'd hang out with them or that group of friends. But it was so different too. I remember, I want to say when I was 12 years old, and your parents would bring you to the mall. My dad was a smoker, so I definitely shopped at this store, Structure. I forgot about that store. That was a cool store. Anyways, I remember my dad would smoke cigarettes, but there was a designated smoking section in the mall, which was like where everybody walked. So he was like kind of annoyed because I guess before that, like a year before that, you could smoke like in any store. Which gets me to as well. So I worked at Circuit City when I was 18. So as soon as I turned 18, I worked at Circuit City. And then when I turned 19, a buddy that worked at Circuit City is like, hey, you got to work at this audio shop called United Audio Center. So from 19 to age 22, before I got into my current career now, I sold high-end, home audio, home theater type electronics. But the one guy who was like only 3 or 4 years older than me, his name was Tim. He was an Irish guy. He was a smoker too, and I was a smoker too back then when I was 19, 20, 21. That's what we do. We'd sell audio, but we wouldn't smoke in the store. We would go out and have a cigarette, and then we'd talk. And I remember him telling me a story, and this like freaked me out. So there was a Radio Shack in the mall, and then there was an actual nice. There was Fretter, Silo, Highlands, but there was an actual store inside the mall. It wasn't a Tweet or whatever. Again, it depends where you grew up, but there was definitely a store inside the mall. And he told me, he's like, yeah, we were able to, he's like, I would be selling some dude a TV or a VCR or, some speakers and, doing a demonstration. The customer would have the cigarette going because they're about to make a major purchase. He's like, I'd have a cigarette going. So like, dude, we're both inside the mall in an electronics store, showing him a TV, showing him a VCR, whatever, going over the features and all that. And we're both smoking. Like what? So anyways, that's how things were back in the day. I figure I'd just tell you guys that quick story. And I want to know in the comments, like what what do you think, like, about the mall itself? Like, is this something like you grew up around, or, did you not grow up around it? What's kind of the story, back in the day? But I definitely remember the mall, and honestly, I probably haven't been at the mall for like over 8, maybe 9, 10 years, because like, what do we do nowadays? We order everything online, right? Whatever we want, we click a button and it shows up. So that's probably why malls around America are dying out. So anyways, guys, as always, I appreciate you guys watching. Please like, share, subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one.